founder of Classy Credit Repair Services, and I'm coming to you today with another Credit Talk That Credit Talk session. And today we are going to be talking about how to get your student loans out of default. I'm not sure if you guys can see my face because I have the glare on there, but how to get your student loans out of default. Over the past few weeks, I've had several clients contact me regarding their student loans. Some of them are in garnishment. Some of them are trying to do the loan rehab and didn't quite understand the process. Some of my clients didn't realize that their student loans weren't all federal. There were some are private. So I wanted to come today and actually give a good informative session on how to get your student loans out of default. It is very crucial that you are, if your student loans are in default, you need to go ahead and get them in good standing. At the end of the day, student loans are not going anywhere. You can file bankruptcy. Your student loans ain't going nowhere. You can get on SSI or, have a disability. Certain disabilities, your student loans will get removed, but that's a forgiveness, but you have to apply for that. But at the end of the day, like I stated, your student loans aren't going anywhere. Deferring them doesn't help your situation. Forbearance, that you can only do that for so long. So I just wanted to come today and let you guys know steps to go ahead and get your student loans out of default. So here we go. All right, reasons why you need your student loans out of default. One, if your student loans are in default, you are more likely going to have your wages garnished. I have several clients who are in garnishments right now, and at the end of the day, there is nothing I can do until your loans are out of garnishment or you are in a loan rehab. Sorry, I gotta put the glasses back on. 2, your income tax returns can be garnished, and more than likely they will be garnished. Okay, if you file an income tax and you get a return back, even if it's a small amount, they're gonna take your money, and they're gonna take your money every year you file taxes. And if you stop filing taxes and then you start filing taxes and then you're doing tax evasion, you're gonna get yourself in a whole legal debacle. So every year that you file tax returns, your income tax returns will be garnished. Now that may not mean a lot to some people because if they don't have any dependents, then it's like, oh well, I only get $1,000 back, or I only get $100 back, or I owe every time I file. It may not be a big deal, but having to owe taxes as on top of owing student loans, it's not fun. Mortgages. If your student loans are in default, you cannot get a mortgage. Don't even try. It ain't gonna work. It ain't gonna happen. Don't waste your time. There is a system that is called Caviar, and no, it's not the fish, the expensive fish eggs. Caviar is a system that shows if your student loans are in default. So here's a scenario. I have clients all the time ask me, can you get my student loans off my credit report? Yeah, if they're reporting inaccurately, I can, All right, yeah, that's what I want to do. I want to get my student loans off my credit report so I can apply for a mortgage. No, that's not how that works. If you're going to get a mortgage and it's backed by the government, when that's USDA loans, that's VA loans, that's FHA, they're going to check Caviars. And if Caviars comes back showing your student loans are in default, you just wasted your time, you wasted the lender's time, you wasted a realtor's time, because you cannot get a mortgage if your student loans are in default. Okay. And the last thing, the reasons why you need to get your student loans out of default, it's not going away. Your student loans aren't going anywhere if you're not paying them down. Okay. Not to get political, but I don't care who's going to be president or who is president or what type of, promises they make. Oh, we're going to forgive all student loans. That ain't gonna happen. That ain't gonna happen no time soon. Okay? No time soon. All right. So let's go ahead and find out the steps to go ahead and get your student loans out of default. The very first step to getting your student loans out of default, you need to call the loan provider. Okay? You need to figure out who has your student loans. This is very important because if they have your student loans, maybe the company or the company went out of business, or they sold your student loan to somebody else and they're not supposed to have it. There's different elements as to why you need to make sure you're contacting your loan providers to see who has it. Navient, Great Lakes, Sally Mae. Um, there are several other student loan providers, but if you don't know who your student loan provider is, you need to pull your credit report and you need to find out who they are. Okay? If you have federal student loans, you can go to studentloans.gov and it'll list all of your student loan providers on there. And that will be information for you to go ahead and write down all of the loan providers' names. If it's all one loan lender, that's perfect. If it's several different lenders, then, like I said, write everything down. All right, the next step to getting your student loans out of default is you need to find out if your student loans are private or federal. Very important that you know if your student loans are private or federal. And this is why. Private loans do not have the same loan forgiveness programs like a federal loan. Private loans are with different banks like Wells Fargo, Discover, Citibank, Chase. I think Citibank's student loan division is no longer. They sold it. So those are one thing. But you need to find out if your loans are private, and if they're private, you need to find out the interest rate on your student loans to see if you can get those student loan interest rate refinanced to a lower rate. Now, if you want to refinance your student loans, you need to have your credit fixed. Because they ain't finna refinance a student loan for 580 credit score. They're not about to do that. Okay. Now, if you have a federal student loan, you need to know what the federal student loans are and who has them, because again, you need to know your interest rate. You need to make sure you have your promissory note. If your promissory notes were signed, you also need to find out if you are eligible for any type of loan forgiveness programs in the federal aspect. This is very important. So once you find out who your loan providers are, you need to find out if these are private loans or federal loans. The next step to getting your student loans out of default is once you find out if they're private or federal, and if you find out who the lender is, you need to find out if the loans are in collections. 9 times out of 10, if your student loans are in default, your student loans are in collections, and either the government has it or a private debt collector has it. But you need to find out. This is your responsibility. You signed on a dotted line to make sure that I will pay back X amount of dollars for my education. Okay. Again, a lot of people have student loan debt. You're not the only one. So these are the definite steps that you can take to go ahead and make sure your student loans come out of default. So once you find out if your loans are in collections, then you need to contact the collection agency. Once you contact the collection agency, that lets you further know again if those student loans can possibly be rehab, but we'll get into that in a second. Okay, so contact the collection agency once you find out if your student loans are in collections. Next step is once you've contacted the collection agency, you need to know which loans do they have. Not all collection agencies have the exact same loans. I'm sorry, not the exact same loans. Not all of the collection agencies have all of your loans, your student loans. They're sold to different debt collectors, whoever has the money or whoever, they're sold to whoever, and not all of them might have it. So for instance, say you have 5 student loans and you contacted a particular debt collection agency and they say, yeah, we have loan X, loan Y, and loan Z, but you got 5 student loans out there. You need to figure out where A and B are at, right? So if they only have 3 of the 5, you need to figure out who has the other 2. Okay, but if they have 3 of the 5, what you need to do next for that particular debt collection agency is you need to find out what the interest rate is. No, I'm sorry. You need to find out how long they had the loan, what the balance is, okay? And make sure you're writing all of this down, documentation, document who you're speaking with, all of that. So make sure you find out how much the balance is, the interest rate on the loan, and when they received the loan. The next step into getting your student loans out of default is asking for loan rehab. This is very important. This is the most crucial step in getting your student loans out of default, is asking for a loan rehab with a debt collection agency. Why? Just like any creditor, they just want money. They just want you to pay on it. Something, $5, $2, $1, they want you to pay on something. So if you ask the collection agency who has 3 out of your student loans, if 3 of the 5 of your student loans, if they offer loan rehab, and if they say yes, you say, okay, great. You don't have to say, okay, great, but you say, okay, I can make a payment of $5 every month towards each of these loans. Okay. Now make sure you're making the payment $5 for each loan, not just $5 in all total. $5 for each loan, okay? Make it make sense. Paying $1.50 for it ain't gonna help you. Okay, so $5 for each loan would be $15 for the three loans. Okay, they're going to tell you yes or no. More than likely, they're going to tell you yes because you're doing a loan rehab, and then they're going to give you the guidelines for the loan rehab. They're going to say if you do the loan rehab, then you have to make 9 to 12 payments, monthly payments towards your student loans, and we will put the student loans out of default status and into good standing. This is what you want. You want your student loans out of default status and into good standing. So that way your wages aren't garnished. That way your income tax returns aren't garnished. That way your mortgages, when it's time for you to apply for a mortgage and they pull caviars, it doesn't show in default. It shows in good standing, okay? So once you have the loans information, you have the loan rehab, then you start making your 9 or to 12 monthly consecutive payments. And usually it's 9 payments for 9 months. 9 payments total, 9 months, okay? Sometimes it can go on longer, but that just depends on if you not default, but if you don't make the payment. But that's not what we're doing here, because if you can't make $15 a month, then something else needs to be readdressed, okay? But we're not going to speak on that right now. Okay, so loan rehab is one of the most crucial steps in here. And then when you do loan rehab, you need to document. I can't tell you how important this is, because so many people think that when they get into loan rehab, all they got to do is make the payments. That's it. No, you need to document who you spoke with, the day you spoke with, the day they said the loan rehab was going to start, the day they said the loan rehab was going to end, the day that they said your status is going to go from default to good standing. You need to ask them to mail you the document showing that you are in loan rehab. You need to ask them if you're going to receive a tax return, a tax document at the end of the year. These are all information that you need to ask them, and you need to make sure you have documented, because I have seen it more than once. A client will go into loan rehab not knowing if their student loan is going to go out of default status. They just pay them the money, and they're like, oh, well, they told me that if I pay the $5, I'm good to go. I'll be in good standing. And that's not necessarily the case, depending on your balance or depending on the collection company. So you need to document all this information. Don't be afraid to ask the questions, and don't be afraid to ask for the documentation. You have that right to get that documentation from these from these collection agencies, okay? So again, document who you spoke with, the time you spoke with, the day you spoke with. Ask them if the day the loan rehab is going to start, the day the loan rehab is going to end, the monthly payment amount, and making sure that it's for each and every loan that they have. Not just one loan. Make sure it's for each and every loan that they have that you're going into loan rehab. You need to ask them if your loans, once it's out of loan rehab and you paid the 9 payments or the 12 payments, will your account go into good standing? You need to ask them for documentation to be sent to you by mail. Make sure you have your updated address sent to them. I don't know why document looks weird. It looks weird. I don't know. Sorry. Yes, so that's the information you need to make sure that you're doing. If you're not doing that and it comes up, out of the blue because you're trying to do something with your credit, and all of a sudden they're like, oh, your student loans are in default status. What's the status of that? Like, what are your plans against that? And you say, oh, I'm gonna be in loan, I'm in loan rehab, and you find out like all your loans are in loan rehab. Like only 3 out of 5 of them are. This is important, okay? I mean, everything I'm saying is important, but this is just documentation. Is no way around document. When you have the proof, there's no way around it. Okay. All right. Another thing that I like to let any of the clients know is when you are in loan rehab, do not dispute the loans. Don't do that. You're going to mess yourself up. And this is why. You don't want to dispute anything when you're in loan rehab because you have signed a contract with the collection agency, okay? If you sign the contract with the collection agency and you're going to pay X amount of money for this amount of months, and you go and you decide, oh, well, I want this still removed from my credit report, and you hire somebody to do just that, and you hire somebody to do just that, which is dispute the items on your credit file on your student loan based off your student loans, that loan company can go back and revoke your contract, or they're just going to come back and say that your student loans are still in default status and they're going to update the balance. Just don't touch it. Just wait for it to come out of default and show in good standing. Now, once you've done everything you're supposed to do and they still haven't flipped it to where it's supposed to be from default status to good standing, then you can dispute it because you've done everything that you were supposed to do. And on top of that, you have documentation showing that they stated that once the payments were made, they would move the status from default to good standing or pay it as current. They'll put it as current. Okay, so just don't dispute it just because you don't want it on your credit file. That does not help your case. Don't do that because it's going to be put right back on there. I've seen it happen too many times. It will be put back on there. Can I remove a student loan in default status? Absolutely. Like I stated, I can based off the inaccuracy, especially if the balances aren't correct. Things that I'm looking at on your credit file, I can remove it. But that's because if you don't want to go into loan rehab, that's on you. Do what you do. You telling me, oh, I'm not worried about it. I'm gonna just keep doing deferred forbearance. All right. I'll see if I can get them off your report. But if you're doing a loan rehab, don't touch them. Okay. The next one is after you have done the loan rehab and you got the documentation showing that, okay, we have placed your loan status into good standing, which it will say pay as current, or it'll say current. Then you need to consolidate. You need to consolidate if you have multiple student loans showing on your credit file from different lenders, okay? Federal student loans consolidation is very easy. You can go onto studentloans.gov. There is an option where it says consolidate or refinance. Click on it. Fill out the information. It usually takes about 30 days to get the response back from the student loan provider, and you can choose who the lender you want. You can stay with the same lender, but they'll just buy all of the student loans. I don't know. It's so weird that Navient will have 16 different loans reporting for you with 16 different account numbers, but they own all of them. It's so weird. But consolidate them all, okay? That's very important. Consolidation is very important. If you have student loans that are private, consolidating is a little bit trickier because you have to find a bank who's willing to buy the debt. A lot of banks no longer have a student loan division, so they're not buying the debt. But if you can find one, go ahead and consolidate if you can. They'll purchase the debt from the original creditor, pay it off, and then they'll consolidate into one. And again, you have one monthly payment. Again, private loans do not have the same benefits of deferment, forbearance, IBR, which is income-based repayment plans. Like if you consolidate with that lender for a private loan, you're making those payments based off your income and your credit score, because then your refinance, your interest rate is determined as well, based off your credit score. Okay, so consolidation is key. Consolidation will definitely help increase your credit score, but that's not what we're thinking about at this time. But consolidation is it looks better on paper because it doesn't show all those lenders, 16 different lenders. It'll just show one, and it'll just show the lump sum of the actual student loan balance. All right, the next one. Make a plan to pay off the debt. Okay. At the end of the day, and I keep saying this, it's not going anywhere. The debt is there to stay. There are several different programs that you can apply for loan forgiveness. With the current, like I said, I try not to do politics in any, but with this current administration and who's over the who's over the education division, a lot of people who try to apply for the student loan forgiveness program, a lot of them were denied, but that's no fault of yours. That's just based off the administration that we currently have in office. So again, I say if you're waiting for a president or I want to say body of Congress, but if you're waiting for a president to come in and say we forgiving all student loan debt, don't hold your breath. Start to make a plan to pay off debt. If you're going to make a plan to pay off the student loan debt, trust me, it's going to require sacrifice. But the key when you're trying to pay off a student loan debt is put the money onto the principal, not the interest. When you go to call in to make a student loan payment, you need to tell them that you're paying on the principal of the debt, not the interest. Okay. If you have student loans that are $3,000, $4,000 and you only have one or two, baby, I wish I had your student loan debt. I would have had that paid off. Okay. Start making payments on that. Like I said, create a plan, create a budget. If you need a budget or a plan set, we do offer financial management. We can definitely look into it. We can so you can do a consultation for that, and that we can look into it and see how much your student loans that you have, what type of plan you need to do to make payments. All that great stuff that we do provide. One of the things I do try to explain to a lot of clients is when they do student loan debt, student loan consolidation, or student loan rehab, they need to do an income-based repayment plan. It's called an IBR, and that's based off your income. An income-based repayment plan provides you, if you in a certain tax bracket, or it's based off your income. So if you're doing $30,000 a year and you don't have any dependents and you have about $50,000 in student loan debt, you're looking to pay about 1%, okay, a month on your student loan debt. And you need to make it to where you should be able to pay that $500 a month on your student loan debt. Yeah. So again, hope that information was very useful. Definitely take it on. This will be posted onto our Facebook page. I'm going to place it on my Facebook page as well as in the Facebook group. So if you're in the Facebook group, if you're not in the Facebook group, definitely join. I should have put the information on here. Let me do that now. But yeah, if you're in the Facebook group, you're definitely getting some awesome information. But yeah, so at the end of the day, like I stated, and I'll keep saying, your student loans ain't going nowhere. You can't run from them. Make sure you have a plan of action to pay down the student loan debt. And if you need some guidance on that, contact Classy Credit Repair for a consultation. Now, those consultations are not free. You have to pay for those consultations. But yeah, so I hope you, like I said, I hope this information was informative. I hope it kind of cleared up some things when it comes to the student loan default status, why it does not benefit you, why you need to get them out of default. Like, share, comment, please comment, let me know. Like I said, this will be up on the page as part of the Credit Talk segment. All right. Thank you for your time. You guys have a wonderful, wonderful day.